Today we're looking at lawn tractors. We're gonna go over pulling the deck off, changing the belt. Like I said before, all these 90% of these lawn tractors use the same deck, use the same belts. All the parts interchange, except for some small brand identities. Other than that, they're both mostly the same. All of them are the same tractors. Some of them on the more expensive end, they have a heavier suspension in the front, but it will interchange with the cheaper suspension. So normally all of these parts interchange on about 90% of these tractors. The MTD, John Deere, the Husqvarna, there's several of them. They're all the same tractors. They're made off the same frame. So we're going to get looking at some of the taking the deck off. We'll get to that now. Okay, first thing we want to do is get the unit cleaned up. We're going to clean off any old grass or anything we can get off of it before we start. I put this up wet, so all this grass dried on, but it just comes off with a wipe of the glove. Next thing we're going to do is take out two bolts that are right here on the deck. They cover up the black cover to the belts. There's a screw here, one up on the top part, one in the back part, one in the front. I don't remember the size, so I will have to guess at it. Let's see if that one will do it. Guessed right. That's good. Put that on a ratchet. Take that off. Now, if you were just taking a look at the belts, you would take these off. Now, if we were taking the whole deck off, we really wouldn't need to do this. We could take the deck off without taking these off. So. Very easy to get off. I usually use a power tool on this, but I wanted to do it without a power tool to show you guys. loosey, righty tighty. So it was set for the wrong position. I don't know what's wrong with this thing. Hung up on something, I don't know what. Might be this difficult. There it is. That's what it looks like. That gives us access to this area where the belts are. So I will do the other side and I'll get back with you. Okay, now I do have the unit up on a jack. This is a tool I just recently acquired. I will be setting it back down to show you how the deck pulls out, but I raised it so that I could give you better shots of the pins you need to pull. So before I take the deck off, I will lower it back down, just like you wouldn't have a jack like this. So I will lower it back down and do it that way. But there's 2 pins on each side. They're pull pins. One in the front and one in the back. And I think you can barely see that front one there, but trust me, it's there. Now, on the very front of the deck, you have a bar that runs from the front up towards the engine back to the deck. Now, you're going to take that out. It has a pin in it also, so you're going to pull the pin on it and it'll drop it. Be sure to not lose any of these pins. Let's take a look at the other side. Well, there's the other side. And then we have a cable. There's the cable. Now I'll set up next to show you how to remove that cable. So just take the pin, I'm going to drop it back down, and I'll take the pins out, and then I'll set up to show you how to remove that cable. Alright, let me set it back down. Okay, I have a 13mm socket. There's a bracket on the end of the cable. And you're gonna loosen that bracket up, and that bracket is spring loaded. The spring from the other side will pull it all the way over. Now what that does, it gives you some room to pull this thing out. Now I'll go ahead and take it off. This is the hardest part of the job. We're gonna take this on out. Okay, I've got enough tension now, I may be able to get it. But we have to remove this cable from the spring that pulls back the tension on the belts. So I'm going to see if I can get that. Now, at the end of this cable is a big spring. That's what we want to try to get off of there. We can't get this. It's really not a big deal. This is the only part of the job that is a little iffy. But it's okay. You just have to take this bracket all the way off. Alright, now we can take the bolt, put it on your deck. Make sure you don't lose it. And then we're going to fill the other side of that spring. The other side of that cable is a big spring. And that spring will come off. And there you have it. That's what it'll look like. Put that up towards the front. Out of the way. Move your tools out of the way. Put them on the deck. And we're going to find the belt. The belt is on. And you're going to take your slack on the belt. And we're going to come up here to the front. See if I can get you a good picture. Look, find the front of the belt. Drives directly off of the engine. So you can see we have some slack there. We want to pull that belt off. Just get it off of that pulley. Now there's a hook on the other side. Just lift it out of that hook. You can't miss it. It's really easy. Now your deck is completely separate now. Now what I'm going to do is jack it up. I'm going to stop, jack the mower up so that you can see it better. But at this point, you would be able to pull it out from the right side of the mower. If you're sitting on the mower, you would pull it out from that right side. So I'm going to stop, reset, and then start again. Okay, so this is what your mower deck really looks like without the mower attached. And you can get a good look at the route that the belt has to take. It goes around both pulleys. It goes around the back of the pulleys, around both pulleys, and then it makes a loop around the front where the engine's at. Now, at this point, you would just pull this deck. If the mower was down on top of it, you could just pull the deck straight out. And there you have it. Work on the deck, change the blades, whatever needs to be done. It's much simpler than trying to fight with the mower with the deck still attached. That's the way to do it. If you have a lifting device like this, it makes it even that much easier. But there's nothing to it. You can do it yourself. No need to pay somebody to do it. It's literally just 4 bolts and some pins. It's just pulling the pins. Make sure you don't lose the washers to the pins, and everything will go back together just in the reverse of the way we took it apart. Now I'm going to do some work on my deck while I've got it apart, and we'll get back to you in just a few. Okay, I got it back together. I think that'll about do it for this job. We'll be returning to this tractor. Remember, all these parts interchange. All of this size tractor, they all interchange. So if you can find the part that you need on Craigslist or somewhere, they have kind of like junkyards for these things. Make sure you are specific about the engine, but all these other parts stay all interchanged. We'll be coming back to this to do some other jobs, but I think that's about it for this one. Four pins, 2 bolts. That drops the deck. It's much easier just to drop the deck and change those belts, sharpen the blades. Much easier to do it that way, but all those things can be accomplished without taking the deck off. Alright, that'll about do it for this episode. That's the way I do it. We'll see you next time.